So I'm about to go in and watch Avatar: The Way of Water, and I think it is absolutely crazy that what James Cameron has decided to do with his career is make Avatar movies for 30 years, but I hope with this movie he proves me wrong and that I am wrong about what he is doing with his career, and so I'll let you know what I thought when I get out.
Hi, my name is Nathan and I talk about a bunch of movies on this channel. If you're new here, down below in the comment section, share what you thought of Avatar: The Way of Water. I have more reviews like this over on my channel. You can check those out once this video is over. And with that said, let's just get started talking about the good. And to me, James Cameron just knows how to make these cinematic experiences that people need to go see in the theater. The original Avatar is the highest grossing movie of all time, and this movie feels like it's going to be in the same ballpark because of that. And when you think of the first Avatar, you think great visuals and CGI, because that's what the first Avatar was so famous for, is that it had groundbreaking CGI. And in this movie, it continues it, and there are still great visuals, great CGI in here, where you can't tell the difference between these giant blue people standing next to these normal human actors. And so that's really impressive, the visuals that they put into this movie. And it's also just like this, James Cameron tells this sweeping journey where you care about all the characters. You care about what happens to them at the end of the movie. And through this, there's some gorgeous shots throughout the entire movie. And this, much like the first Avatar, there's a bunch of just cool things to just see on screen in this movie. Now, to dive into what I actually enjoyed about this movie, the story and everything, I appreciated a lot that it was this new exploration of Pandora. In the first movie, Pandora and the Na'vi, we focused in on these forest people. Now they're moving into, like the title says, the way of water. They're moving into the sea. They're learning the way of water. And so that's really interesting what they did with this new exploration of Pandora in water instead of the forest. And this is a very well-crafted film. What I mean by this is that every single thing that happens in the first two acts of this film is paid off in the third act. And so that's just really well-crafted. If you miss some little detail, you could miss something that they're trying to set up in the future Avatar sequels. And so, it's just a pretty well-crafted film. And because of that, once you get to the end of it, and you care about everything that's happened, it just draws out some big emotions out of you, where you absolutely hate, you love the people you're supposed to love, but you hate the humans of this movie. And that's a funny thing to say because we are humans, but you hate the humans of this movie, like, because they're being so cruel to these Na'vi people. And so I really think that it draws out big emotions successfully, and that's what James Cameron could do really well with his films. And what I've always criticized about the first Avatar is that it just stuck to a formula, and this movie doesn't stick to a formula. Like, the story itself is fairly straightforward, but it's done with excellence. It's straightforward, it's easy to follow, you know exactly what the good guys want and what the bad guys want, but it's done with excellence, and it's not a formula story like the first one, where it's just a formula from movies like The Last Samurai. And so, I just really thought that was cool about this movie, is that it doesn't stick to a formula, but it's very straightforward at the same time. And adding to that, it's massive in scale. Like, you get to this final battle, and it's just slam bang. Like, there's an awesome finale in this movie that I just thought was an awesome movie, even though there's a few issues I have with this movie. And what I really enjoyed about this movie was that it had more personal stakes than the first film. We care about what happens to these characters, as well as maybe even the human villains. And so there's more personal stakes, as, you know, the main plot revolves around, like, Quaritch coming back to life and stuff like that. And so the stakes are a lot more personal in this movie. And so I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a significant improvement over its predecessor, But from there, I do have a couple of problems, so let's move on to the bad. First one up here is that it slows down to a halt in the middle hour when they're learning about the way of water, and I just think it slows down a lot at that point. And because like, you get scenes where, like, the avatars are, like, dealing with bullies and stuff like that. When I think Avatar, I don't think dealing with bullies. And I think another big problem here is that Jake and Neytiri are way too sidelined in the movie, and the lead is more given to their kids. Their kids are the ones that have the arc, and even, like, Quark is given sort of an arc. And so, like, that was just a really odd choice. And for a movie that's 3 hours, some plots did feel so underdeveloped, because I know they're trying to set up more sequels, but they felt like it was just this one thing that happened in this one scene, and then we forget about it until, like, the very end of the movie to set up some sequels. And some of the movie at the end doesn't feel the most satisfying. If this was an Avatar TV show, then this wouldn't be a problem, because I know the next episode may be coming out next week, but this is a movie and we have to wait a couple years for the next Avatar episode to come out. And so it did not feel the most satisfying. And finally, it feels a bit too much like a setup movie, because James Cameron is making all these Avatar sequels. It feels like he is making these sequels, and so this feels like a setup for those movies. And so it doesn't leave you on the most satisfying note, and it just feels like a setup movie. But overall, I enjoy this movie. I think it's better than the original, but there are just some problems here that hold it back for me, so I'll give this one a B, and I do recommend seeing it in the theater because James Cameron makes some cinematic experiences. There you have it. Those are my thoughts on Avatar: The Way of Water. Down below in the comment section, share what you thought of it. Over on my channel, I have more content like this. Check those out right now. Click that subscribe button. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I'll see you in the next one.